Okay, so here is the first hole on the first planet. This is right after the driving range, so the kids have been introduced into some of the basic mechanics of the game and how to control the character. We're going to layer in another layer on top, which is the energy meter in this planet, since now we're on a planet that has gravity, so we're not just in deep space. These AI questions are an interesting way that we have to sort of have an internal set of assessment. Is these questions are in a scaffolded structure with themselves, and it's more, the narrative behind it is that the robot is upgrading its AI. And so you have to help upgrade the AI based on what you're observing while you're playing the different holes. There are 9 total of these questions across the 3 planets. And so this first question talks about, it's telling us, the hint is to observe the transfer of energy when setting up the shot. All right, so let's observe the transfer of energy when we're setting up the shot. So I'm gonna go through the tutorial moment right here that we have. The robot uses energy when it hits the ball from its battery. I'm gonna drag this up. I can have different views that I'm looking at from the top, from the side, which actually shows the nice parabolic arc, which only happens on a planet without an atmosphere. And this actually aligns pretty well to all of the high school level equations that they're gonna get that you may see, such as a ball launching out of a cannon or a person throwing a football, is that from this side view, you'll notice this parabolic arc, and the physics equations at the high school level can accurately predict, you know, the height, the maximum height that it reaches, the distance, depending on what your starting variables that you have, and including the launch angle. So this aligns very well to where they're at in high school level physics. So now I'm learning, and you'll notice that there are these telemetry labels here, and if I click on one, it takes me to a physics fact that I can then click on this button right down here, which will take me to the Wikipedia site for a more deeper dive. It also is good for facilitation if you're prompting the kids to do a little bit more research or a deep dive into the topic. Actually, it's gonna prompt me to swing. Okay, so if you look, the energy meter on my left is, the left bar is how much I've got on my battery. The red is actually translated to how much of that energy that I put into the ball after I swing it and hit it is gonna be lost due to heat and sound, and that will be transferred back into the larger system. But of the robot hitting the ball, it's just going to, from his perspective, be lost. And you can see that 104 joules is going to go into the ball, 101 of which it will be kinetic energy, and actually there's a very small green bar down there that will be gravitational potential energy. So I'm just going to go through this tutorial, swing back, hit the ball. Now, during its flight, you can pause. The pause is a great feature in the game, especially for facilitation, or if the kids get curious and they want to see what this visual is. The same telemetry labels will exist here that you can click on. For a little bit more information on what each of these are. And so now it's talking, and now it's showing me the gravitational potential energy and the kinetic energy of the ball while it's traveling. So let's take a look at when it's traveling through the air and it's going to impact the ground. Let's watch what happens right when it impacts. All right, right when it impacted, most of it shifted to thermal, which means, and you can tell because it would have bounced back up to the same height that it was at if none of that energy from the ball was lost to thermal energy. Almost in. Okay, so now this is the putting interface, and it operates mostly the same as the driving, but you know, because of the little amount of energy comparatively to a drive, you're going to notice that it's a little bit scaled back on how much you're actually putting in. And we made it in successfully for a birdie. Fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to get my first AI upgrade question. So the question is, what provides the energy for the robot to hit the golf ball? Okay. So gravity causes the robot to move. We know the robot can be standing still and have gravity acting upon him, so that's probably not correct. The chemical energy from the sun transfers to electrical energy in the ball. That doesn't necessarily sound correct because the chemical energy from the sun, I don't feel that that is actually what, and we have this battery pack for the robot. So it seems like the battery has to be in play. The chemical energy in of the battery transfers to the robot as electrical potential energy, and that sort of makes sense actually. That's what I'm thinking it might be, just because the robot has electricity running through. It's got a battery pack that's controlling things, and what's inside of the battery is chemical energy. So the last one is potential energy, and the robot transfers to chemical energy in the ball, and I don't feel that there's any chemical energy that's going to be present in the ball. And again, if the different types of energy for your students need to be defined, this is a good opportunity for facilitation or a good prep to lead up to just the entry point into this hole. So I'm going to go ahead with this one and see if it's right. And it was. Hole 1 done.